Hi, I'm Kyle, and I'm here to talk to you about the book The Englishman's Boy by Guy Vanderhaeghe. And the one really important thing that I'm going to talk about in the book is how Guy Vanderhaeghe could kind of see where society was going and how important that movies were going to become. The most prophetic character in the book, I find, is Ira Chance. And I don't really like Ira Chance, not as a person, but as a character, he's great. Basically, one of the most important things that he talks about is the zeitgeist, the spirit of change, and how people don't actually do things for themselves. They only really exist to keep changing things. And you can see this nowadays when you see people in big movements like the 99% and Libya and things like that. The whole point of our era is to change the last era, and Ira Chance could see that, and he was trying to change from a an old style of film filled with British and French influence and become a new, more American medium. And he also foresaw how big an impact movies would have on people. Like, he says that the great educator is the film. Griffith is the great educator if Abraham Lincoln is the great emancipator, was one of the lines in the book. And that's quite true nowadays, because things are mentioned in movies like getting shot in the shoulder is not a death wound. If you get shot in the center of mass, you die. Cats land on all fours. Things like that are all put into movies, and they're just part of the general consciousness now. They're things that everyone just knows because they've seen it in movies. And it seems like Chance, or it doesn't even seem like Chance did. Chance did know that that was going to happen. Pardon me. And another point that Chance makes is about the different races involved in filmmaking and how it's a highly it's a highly Jewish European, or it was a highly Jewish European thing, and that's sort of a stereotype nowadays, but to a large extent it's true. A lot of Hollywood is run by Jewish people because they were the innovative people who followed the zeitgeist. Basically, Chance represents also a just in himself, he represents sort of like the pop psychology type of person, where believe in all this like Wiccan and things like that, all this new and interesting sort of new theories and things like that, and he thinks that he's really, really smart, and he thinks that he's seen the truth, and in reality no one really knows the truth. But there's a lot of people nowadays who do believe that they've seen the truth. Like you see Oprah and all these people like that, and people on YouTube and things like that, giving advice that really they might not have the qualifications to give. Like Chance, he's never made a movie before, but he thinks that he's gonna be the greatest filmmaker because he's getting an American story and he's telling a truthful story, or truthful, as you find out later in the book. His motivations aren't as pure as driven snow, as he says in the earlier part of the book. And that in itself, the bastardization of a new media, is kind of how movies became. Like, it used to be about original storytelling and all sorts of amazing things like that, like I guess Beetlejuice comes to mind, and like Casablanca and things like that. And nowadays it's a lot of just rehashes and remakes of old stories. And I guess we've done sort of a turnaround. Instead of telling about the cowboys that we used to idolize, now we're talking about Battleship, a game we used to play. It's all just looking back, in a way. But yeah, no. Die Vanderhaeg added in a lot of things like that, and I think that was probably the most like critical thinking part of the book for me, was all this foreshadowing of, oh man, he knew all this was going to happen way back then. Or maybe not knew, but just had sort of an idea. And yeah, I really liked the book. Although I mostly liked Shorty in the days when you didn't know Shorty's name, when the Englishman, he was just the Englishman's boy, and he was doing all this sort of real badass stuff, like getting into bar fights and going Indian. It was really cool. And one last point, I loved the scene where Shorty tells Harry about how he found his spirit animal, and Harry doesn't understand. I thought that was great, because it was just funny how his spirit animal was a pig. I don't know. I thought that was funny. But also, you know, the fact that Harry didn't understand, and then, you know, Harry becomes a little more enlightened towards the end of the book. I just thought the whole thing tied together really well, and I thought that how they brought the character of the Englishman boy and Harry, they brought them together through the modern Shorty. I thought it was really, really clever. Anyways, that's me signing off. I'll see you later.